Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
And away we go. Welcome to show number 327. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill. D. Ted Smith. Robin Fox. And my cock. Montgomery. Are in the men's room. On tap today is the random question. Your guess is as good as mine. Categories, names, and states. Ask the Men's Room is back. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, a Men's Room shot of the day, fun listener emails, and everyone's favorite TV time with Ted. Click, clack. All right, here we go. Florida man says he masturbated in public because it helps with his anxiety.
It does.
Meanwhile, a man pretends to have downs to get his diapers changed because he likes that variety. 7 injured in Pittsburgh when someone startles a camel. Georgia school is bringing back the wooden paddle to beat you like a mammal. And a man emails every Nicole at his university to get a date. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, as a parent, I say this with absolute sincerity. Parenting is a slippery slope. Now, that being said, having once been a child, being a child is a slippery slope. See, kids, for the most part, they want to experiment and they want to experience. Meanwhile, parents want to protect and teach. So let's go to Florida, where a father was arrested after driving his son to a park for a late-night sexual encounter with his 15-year-old girlfriend. Now, it just so happens you might think the dad is cool, but it's also illegal. And the father discovered this when he was arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. By the way, not his kid, the daughter. Because at 15, you have to have parental consent. And guess what? Her parents hadn't signed off. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, there's the mother-daughter relationship. We go to Kentucky, where a woman caught her 14-year-old daughter drinking alcohol. So to teach her a lesson, mom forced her to drink a dangerous amount of alcohol. It made it worse when she invited other friends who held the daughter to a chair, and she begged for them to stop and videotaped it, etc., etc. It turns out that this, too, also illegal. And that's why she was arrested for criminal abuse. So like I said, being a parent, being a kid, it's a slippery slope. But if you really want to feel weird about the parent-kid thing, and I hate to bring this up, but since I know, I'm going to share it with you because misery loves company. According to a new study, the majority of us are in a relationship with someone who kind of looks like your mom or dad. Oh, yeah. Well, share the study. And look, I'm going to be honest. I've always been attracted to women who look like my father. But these are some of the stories that we saw, and they've led to many questions. Questions we'd like to ask you in the form of our random question. This is how it works. You call us, we will ask you a question at complete random. And after you share your scintillating story, we will share with you the news story that inspired said question.
Be part of the big show on the random question. Call 844-999-HOLA. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live, and send your emails to the Men's Room at mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Oh, the show is in. Away we go. Welcome to show number 2,897. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. The exciting return of Ask the Men's Room. If you have anything that you'd like to ask any of us in the Men's Room, just shoot us an email to the Men's Room at mensroomlive.com. Ask away. The segment is Ask the Men's Room. We'll do that before we drink and toast with the shot of the day. Your guess is as good as mine. The categories today are going to be popular names. And as far as the United States goes, they have announced some of the happier states that people prefer to live in, and also some of the states where people are not happy at all. they're miserable.
I haven't seen the list. I saw the headline earlier, and all I could think is, I'm just going to assume Hawaii's on there, but otherwise, like, where do people retire to?
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
I don't have to work anymore. I'm leaving where I was. They have to be on there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was one. Like, what are the funnest cities in the United States? What do you think? What do you think was number one?
Well, Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of in that vein. You kind of think about it for a minute, and you go, all right, New Orleans, Las Vegas, those types of
Orlando,
towns.
probably.
You can hang out. New York, be up all night. Chicago, obviously. So your guess is as good as mine. The categories are names and states. Another round of profile that's coming up, and today is the day we do our random question.
Random.
844-999-OLA. Don't worry about the calls. I think people think we're still on vacation.
I don't know, man.
I'll just ask you guys questions all day. We can do this all day. We can do this all day. You know? But if you want to get involved, 844-999-OLA. But, yeah. Okay, all right. Let's see here.
HOLA. That's how you spell OLA. A lot of people struggling with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Ted, Ted, this is for you. Since Steve just mentioned this story, we're going to go right, because I have a feeling that you're going to be the one that answers this better than anyone. What did your parents let you get away with growing up?
Oh, man.
Because I think
I got away with kind of a lot.
I was going to say, it depends on your perspective, because it's what you know. And I know you've told a story before, Dad, and it just blew my mind. I think you were mad at somebody, or whatever the case was. Your mother put you in the car specifically so you could egg their house.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we hit them with water balloons in December.
Either way, I'm just thinking, if I had even told my parents that's what I want to do, they'd say, yeah, we understand, you're angry, don't do it. And then if they found out I did it, I'd have been in trouble. Your story is, Ted, get in the car.
Yeah, my mom drove and I hid in the trunk.
And, I mean, think about that.
Like, nobody's parents would. I mean, my cock. Could you ever? Your parents would. Like, you were a straight A student. I'm assuming, right?
Correct.
And you never did anything wrong.
No, not a damn thing.
But he's hiding in a trunk while he's going to egg homes, and his mom is driving.
Water balloons,
whatever.
In December. That's key to that story.
But sometimes, even when you're an A student, it's the last thing they would do, because I would assume part of the reason you're an A student, having met your father, there wasn't a lot of room to F around with that, I'm guessing.
Yep.
I will say, though, like, I got away with some stuff, mainly because my sister was kind of a degenerate.
See, that helps.
But I definitely have those stories, too, at, like, midnight getting woken up and, like, oh, what's going on? Like, well, you got, 6 deficiencies out of 7 classes.
Oh, they would wake you up at midnight, like when your dad got home.
Well, because I hit him.
Oh.
And then my brother found him.
But see, there's the difference, right? Like, my parents, it's not that, I think my parents, quote unquote, let me get away with a lot of stuff, because as my father would say, be good or be slick. So the thing is, they're not stupid, and they know whatever age you are, you're probably doing what other kids that age are doing, right? So my father, my mother would do the thing like, if this happened to school or this kind of thing, she would do the talk that as a parent, I guess you're supposed to say. Now that I have kids, I know that she knew that it fell on deaf ears. My father understood it fell on deaf ears. And his whole thing, if you don't get caught or if I don't know about it, I don't care, which I'm down with. But when it came to school, because I had many...
I think the caveat of the whole thing is
then they were deep in your ass,
and you realize this. We've realized this. A lot of people will come up and say, "Hey, look, we've listened to your show growing up with Dad in the car, Mom in the car, whatever, for a long time." So, kids, if you're out there, look, seriously, the one reason that you want to make good grades is because if you do, all this other stuff just slides to the side.
It really does.
And I mean, like, I know it sounds weird. I could never make good grades because I just wasn't smart enough to make good grades. Yeah. And I did try and I applied myself, but I mean, certain things I couldn't do. I couldn't do math because I can't figure certain stuff out. But if you can just try and succeed, you can be an absolute derelict, because the most important thing to any parent is, are you effing up in school? And for me, it was, all right, well, look, you might not be the best student in the world, but as far as your behavior goes, this is something that you obviously can work on. So when my behavior grades came back with all of these negative things,
you can't do.
My behavior grades were always fine.
My ass is grass, because that's me either talking back, disrupting class.
I'm with you.
Look, man,
behavior stuff would get me in trouble, but I never got behavior stuff. I would also say this too: is like sometimes, like I like any teenager, I had the times where it went too far and really screwed up.
Of course,
but for the most part, like me and my couple buddies, like if we went out and had a drink, like somebody was safe to drive and we still got home by a certain time.
Yeah.
Like whatever time the curfew. So that's always my thing. Don't violate the simple little rules.
Don't violate the simple rule. And to that point, my kids started school last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And look, my son's in first grade. There's whatever the worst thing that he could do is not that bad. All right. Now understand, in the home, they can get away with certain things because everyone knows each other and this kind of thing. But he, as it were, let's just say he got a few yellow cards last week. And he's just doing what kids do. I understand that. He doesn't know that I understand that. So I brought it down on him because, like you said, it's behavioral things. And he's actually the sweetest kid in the world. But, hey, you got caught doing whatever. This is why you got the card. And your problem is that I know about it.
Right.
So you have the talk. He did not enjoy the talk. And everything's fun. That's it. I mean, but that's how it goes, right? And then when you're good, you can do anything. So kids, listen to us because we've been there. My brother was a straight A student, and he could get away with murder.
But he never did because that's just not how he's wired.
But see, that made it worse for me because I had bad grades and I was a terrible kid.
The reason we asked, what did your parents let you get away with? We go to Florida. A Florida man arrested after driving his 15-year-old son to a local park for a late-night sexual encounter with his girlfriend, also 15 years old. And around 11:30, a police officer spotted a Toyota parked after hours at a park in Port St. Lucie. The patrolman approached the vehicle and found Lawrence Mitchell, 53, in the driver's seat. He asked him what he was doing that Thursday evening because, well, let's face it, McChesney was black and sitting in a park at 11:30 at night. Mitchell explained that his son had asked him to pick up his girlfriend so that the minors could go to the park and, quote, do their thing. As to why the teens...
I can't even imagine saying that too much. Like, why do you want to go out to the park? Oh, Dad, I want to have sex with my girlfriend.
Yeah. As to why the teens would be transported to a park after hours, Mitchell replied, so they can do what kids do. Asked by a patrolman for clarification on that statement, Mitchell reportedly said... Well, they aren't out stealing. They are just having sex. Mitchell acknowledged that he did not know the girl he had picked up nor gained consent to have her out from the parents, but he added that they could be out there doing a whole lot worse. Well, the cop subsequently interviewed the teenagers who were, quote, returning from the soccer field. And when asked what they were doing in the park, Mitchell's son replied, we're just smoking and effing. When the cop asked the boy if his father knew what the pair was doing, the teen laughed and advised, well, he didn't know exactly. The girl confirmed to the officer that she and the boy were engaged in sexual activity. Asked if Mitchell knew what the two were doing, she answered, well, I mean, he drove us out here, but I don't know. Mitchell was arrested for contributing to the delinquency of a minor for knowingly and admittedly driving two 15-year-old juveniles to a park after hours to commit sexual acts. He was freed from custody after posting $750 bond and is scheduled for an arraignment hearing on a misdemeanor count.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of just stupid things about this, but let's just start at the top and say, okay, if you are a parent and your kid is 15 and you are okay with them having sex, like it does not bother you that they are, all right? Wouldn't you think then maybe you should allow them to do it, say, in your home? Or like, if it already doesn't bother you, don't take them to the place that they would have snuck to in the first place, just based on the fact that that's what the cops are looking for. And if you were on a soccer field at 11:30 at night and you're 15, maybe you weren't smoking, maybe you weren't effing, but you weren't doing anything that you could do, say, around your parents. So it just seems to me that as a parent, even if you're okay with this, why would you drive them all the way out there and then wait for them to finish to drive them home?
I'd walk...
Because that's where the cops go looking for people. Like, you have to know this.
As a 15-year-old kid, I would have walked 10 miles to get a kiss from a girlfriend.
Anything.
I mean, you know.
But I wouldn't even have brought it up to my father in the first place. I can't believe that this kid was comfortable enough with Dad to say, hey, man, me and Sheila, we're going to get it on tonight. Can I get a lift to the soccer field?
Random.
And a ride home.
And you're right. If you're at a park after night, like that time of night, like, right.
Come on, man.
Just Uber it.
Anything. Jesus. Hello, Cody. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
Oh, boy, Cody. We're going to hit you with this one. It's going to be a little bit troubling, but I think you can come up with it. Where is the weirdest place, Cody, that you've seen hair?
Hair.
Think about it, man. When you see hair in a place you don't expect to see hair.
I dated a girl with hairy feet, man. She had hairy toes.
Right. It's just, you can't get past it.
It's weird, especially because they're pretty dark. They're big hairs.
I want to say, like, one of my buddies showed me his palms, and he had hair on, like, the outside of his palm.
How much hair?
Like, enough to... You remember that old joke in school where if you masturbated too much, you got hairy palms?
Yes.
He was the brunt of that joke for a while.
Oh, he still would be.
I wonder if it helps for gripping.
I mean, like, if I shook his hand but didn't see it, would I think maybe he had, like, pocket lint in his hand or something?
I would think so, but I don't think I ever shook the kid's hand because it just freaked me out so much.
I mean, were these like thick black hairs? Was it a fine mist of hairs, or what? I mean, I'm trying to picture.
These are like, they're like those like thick, stray, like stringy pube hairs almost.
All right. Cody, how old are you?
It was weird, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
I'm 26.
Oh, you're young. You're too young. Okay, well, eventually hairs are going to start popping up in weird places. Like I've got,
but not your palm.
Every once in a while, the sun will hit like the outside of my ear, and I'll realize that there's like a half an inch hair that is growing on the outside of my ear. Like, how did I not see it?
You look like an evil genius from a cartoon.
Right,
but that's okay because you don't want it there. But it's in a place that you've accepted it might be. If you get that weird eyebrow hair, right, like the Andy Rooney one that grows 18, but it's where hair grows. When you have hair on the palm of your hands, it's just not okay. Castle, he tells a story every once in a while. People that are fans of yours will drop you off a gift or send you stuff, and it's very kind and it is unnecessary. But Castle years ago got a bag of hair. And it freaks him out because, again,
it's hair.
Hair anywhere other than where it's supposed to be.
You don't think that people
really,
appreciate the gift of hair?
I don't, man. Look, I'll put it this way. If you see a human turd on the sidewalk, you're like, that's disgusting, that's ridiculous. But you're not freaked out. When you see, if there was like a tuft of hair sitting on the sidewalk, for whatever reason, you think about it more. It's weird. It's not okay.
Yeah, it's weird. Reason we asked the weirdest place that you've seen hair. Maybe you heard about the new case study that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine.
Well, of course we have.
About a 55-year-old woman in Missouri. She went to the hospital after she noticed that she always felt nauseated. She had a permanent bad taste in her mouth, and she had, a ton of little black hairs growing on her tongue. Now, fortunately for her, the doctors knew why it happened. She'd had surgery recently after a serious leg injury, and she developed an infection, so she was on some kind of hardcore antibiotics, and she had a rare reaction to one of them and developed the black tongue hairs, which is a condition that's officially called lingua villosa nigra. It's more or less harmless, but still, the doctors put her on
black
some antibiotics.
hair mouth.
Yeah. Pretty much. For 4 weeks, and her tongue was back to normal. All the hairs fell off.
But don't you feel like, look, man.
I would feel weird just in your mouth.
Well, if you get a hair in your mouth, it bugs you until you get it out, right?
Yeah.
I would also think, like, look, man, we've all been to the doctor for whatever reason, and if they give you a prescription for anything, they always tell you possible side effects. Doesn't matter how rare it is, right? It's like, hey, man, you might get stomach cramp. Hey, man, you might poop yourself. I really feel like if you might grow hair on your tongue, doctors, if you're listening, like, I would want to know that. Mm-hmm. I would want to know you might grow hair on your tongue, and it's going to bother you because it's hair that's on your tongue,
which is weird.
Yeah.
Random.
Hello, Lori. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hello, Lori. Welcome to the random question. We're great. Let's go with this one here. Lori, do you remember what your science fair project was?
I remember having to write, a big report on, I think, the most. I don't think I really had any science projects. I did them with my kids, not my own.
Wait, you did them with your students, you said?
Yeah, I did, help them with their science projects.
All right.
I never had
any. You worked on various ones.
What's the best one you did? Like, what's one? Because there's always that one kid that can impress everyone because he knows how to do blah. Like, what is it? The exploding volcano?
I've done that.
No, she was only in the second grade, and we did a primary colors one where I took baby food jars and I did the primary colors, and we had a flashlight. You could hold them up.
All right, that's cool.
Make secondary colors out of the primary.
I always feel like anytime you have a group project, any more than two people, and the majority of just one person is doing the job. Like if you always see like two kids standing in front of the project and they look really happy and they're into it, both of those kids worked equally on that project. But if you get any more than that, you got the one kid who never wrote his end of the deal, never showed up, never
But don't
did the deal.
Teachers assign who the partners are?
I don't know.
I would think, like, because as a teacher and talking to teachers now, like, you know the kids that are lazy, you know the kids that are stupid, you know the kids that are enthusiastic. So I feel like, all right, I'm going to take maybe not the smartest kid in the class, but the hardest worker, and I'll put them with the lazy ass. I'll put the dumb kid, because you can never say out loud to parents which kid's the stupid kid. It might be my kid. I don't know. I'll put the stupid kid with the smart kid, right?
But that's like class projects. I feel like the science project you had to do on your own.
Did you do a science project? I never had to do.
Yeah, you did the volcano like I did, right? With the baking powder and the volcano vinegar.
I have always said the highest I ever got was second place one year.
All right.
Because we did a whole thing. I know what you're going to say, but we did a whole thing on balloons and how water spins. And so basically the whole project was wrong, Wait, nobody at my school corrected me, and I got second place on that one.
Wait, your project was wrong?
Right, because it was all based on the theory that if you were south of the equator.
Nobody.
They didn't.
Probably nobody had been south of the equator.
Place. I got second place
to be wrong.
That's amazing.
It was unbelievable.
That's great.
And then it's great because I went to Catholic school, so you had to do one every year.
Right.
And then when I got to high school one year, I did one that was awful, and I can't remember what it was on, but it was. Okay. It looked. You remember when you used to trade in grocery receipts for like something in the schools, right?
Yeah.
It used to be like a big giant
the things
deal.
out of it, right?
Yeah.
So luckily, I had a cousin. His mom worked at a grocery store, so I greased the teacher because he wanted his classroom to win with some receipts. And that project got
wait a minute.
All right. We got up to a D.
You did a crappy project, and in the end, you bribed the teacher to keep him happy, and that's how you got out of it.
Yes.
I mean, that's education.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, look, you learned something.
But
you really did. You learned a lot. I mean, the point is to learn something and how the world works.
Something valuable to take with it.
This is how you play the game, kids. This year's IG Nobel Prizes were announced the other day, and it's kind of like the Nobel Prize, but for the weirdest and sometimes dumbest studies of the year. And 2018 didn't disappoint at all. Here are each of the 10 winners.
All right, what do you got?
We have a study that found that riding roller coasters actually can help you pass kidney stones.
That's not stupid. I would have never known that.
A study that found that chimps imitate humans about as well as humans imitate chimps.
I disagree with that because I feel like we could make the
that's the term.
But they're not going to turn around and be like, "Hello there, Fred."
A study that found that wine experts can smell a single fly floating in a glass of wine.
I gotta find out if you're a wine expert.
A study that looked at how good saliva is at cleaning dirty surfaces, a.k.a. the spit shine.
I don't think that's bad either because my kids' faces get cleaned with that often.
A paper called Colonoscopy in the Sitting Position. Lessons learned from a self-colonoscopy.
Lessons learned.
A study that found most people don't read instruction manuals.
Well, sure.
A study that found that cannibals don't get a ton of calories.
They eat lean. So who knows? Maybe that'll be the next diet craze.
A study that looked at why people yell and curse while driving and measured the frequency of their scream.
Come on.
This is one of my favorite things to do when I'm driving. A study that wrapped postage stamps around guys' junk to see if they got aroused in their sleep. And finally, a study that looked at how effective it is to use voodoo dolls to get back at your horrible boss.
Not as effective as I'd like. Jesus.
Man, people are really wondering about that.
Well, if they come back and say it's really effective, that's not good to be a boss.
Random question. More of your calls on the way. 844-999-HOLA. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Your guess is as good as mine. Color the categories today will be names and states. We'll do your guess as good as mine before we drink it. Tell us with a shot of the day. In the meantime, it is our random question. 844-999-HOLA.
Hello, Corey. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola!
Hola!
Hello, Corey. All right, Corey. Let's go with this one here. Corey, what did you catch someone doing, or what did you get busted doing?
Ooh. Okay. That's flavorful. You guys are pretty vicious. Throwing me right out on the bus. What did I? Okay, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is not a Senate judiciary.
Yeah, I was going to say, good Lord, man.
We just call this the random question. I'm not. Goddamn, I'm not Maxine Waters. What did you catch someone doing, or what did you get busted for?
Okay. Well, I got busted for a lot of things. Can you help my mind pinpoint it down, man? Help me out.
Have you ever been arrested?
Okay. We're talking a long rap sheet here.
Oh,
point me down.
Okay. What was the first thing you got arrested for?
Oh, okay. The first thing that I got arrested for was snowboarding, believe it or not.
Illegal snowboarding. Yeah, that's a common one.
I know. Okay. I guess I got to pinpoint it down. I finagled some tickets. It's a long story. If you have like a season pass and you forgot your season pass, they will give you a ticket, a voucher.
All right.
And I worked up at this resort. I'm from Oregon, and I was working at this resort. And for Christmas, they give you ticket vouchers to give to your friends. And so I was 18. I brought up a couple of buddies of mine. I had these ticket vouchers, However, one of the buddies got into my backpack because he wanted to get his gloves out. Well, when he pulled his gloves out came the tickets behind his truck seat. So at this point, we medicated heavily all the time up there. And, I'm like, I forgot the tickets. I looked in my backpack. I'm like, they're gone. Well, I'm like, we didn't just drive an hour and a half, for nothing. So I went to 2 different ticket booths to get my buddies. I forgot my voucher for my season pass. And so they caught on after the second time, and they hit us up right before we get on the chairlift.
So you didn't get a run-in.
Yeah, I didn't even get one single run-in.
Wait,
that
just
seems
to
harmless
be clear,
enough.
That's harmless enough, but to be clear, you didn't get arrested for snowboarding. There's no crime against snowboarding.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was your most recent arrest?
I didn't get arrested a whole bunch, but I was just thinking my rap sheet of like getting caught and getting into trouble.
Well, how many times have you been arrested?
Twice.
Okay. What was the other one?
The other one was for this one was harsh. I found my friend's car. We were at a 4-wheeling spot. I found my friend's car, which got stolen. And it was like, okay, I'm not a fan of the law enforcement, but I found my buddy's car. Who else do I call? I call them. They come to a meeting spot because it was in a 4-wheeling spot, meet me before, and then have me take them in there.
Did you steal the car back?
Well, no, I didn't steal the car.
You know what? Hang on.
We'll get to
I thought it'd be that simple.
Station identification here for a second.
It's law enforcement's fault.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.